Hello, everyone. Welcome to Queer Lawyers Speak, hosted by LAGBAC, Chicago's LGBTQ plus bar association. My name is Adam Zebelian. I'm a partner at Schiller DuCanto Fleck, where I practice family law, and I'm also the current president of LAGBAC, Chicago's LGBTQ plus bar association. Today's topic is LGBTQ plus lawyers in family law, which is the area of law that I practice in. And today our guest is Reed Chisenhall, who is a colleague of mine at Schiller DuCanto Fleck, and he is here to discuss LGBTQ plus lawyers in the family law. So welcome, Reed. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Adam. Glad to be here today.
Yes. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you came from, how it was that you became a lawyer, so that we can get acquainted.
Sure. So I practice family law. I'm an associate at Schiller DuCanto Fleck with Adam. I've been practicing law for about 5 years and have worked almost exclusively in family law during that time. I came to Chicago in 2017 to start law school at Loyola University Chicago, but I'm originally from the South. I'm a transplant from Alabama and spent most of my life in the South through college until I moved to Chicago.
All right. So it's interesting that you decided to move from Alabama to Chicago. What drew you to Chicago?
I was in South Carolina I went to college in South Carolina at Furman University. And having spent my whole life in the South, I was looking for something different. I thought about doing law school in Atlanta, the cosmopolitan metropolis of the South, and then ended up looking at a school in New York, a school in LA, a school in Chicago.
Oh, there's no LGBTQ plus people in those cities.
Exactly. And then it was just sort of like a leap. I don't know. I didn't really have any connection to Chicago. I had only been to Chicago one time to tour Loyola, had no friends, no family, and went for it.
All right. I actually visited Chicago one time, fell in love, and then that's why my whole goal after graduating from law school was to move to Chicago. And I haven't regretted it since, and I don't think you have either.
No,
right?
Not at all.
So for people that are watching that aren't familiar with family law, and it's probably a good thing if they aren't, because although it has a nice name, it can be very a difficult area of law to experience or practice in, whether you're a litigant or a lawyer. Why don't you tell the audience what a family law attorney does?
Sure. So family law is kind of a wide umbrella in the law. What a big factor of that is divorces, and I think that's what Adam and I primarily work in. But family law can encompass a lot of different things. It can encompass parentage for people that have a child but aren't married. It can encompass custody issues, child support issues, whether or not there's a divorce involved. Any sort of legal matter that relates to the family unit, to children, falls under the umbrella of family law.
And what people oftentimes don't realize is that family law really is talking about, like you said, divorce, people that were married and no longer want to be married and they have children, or sometimes they don't have children, or people that were never married but have children. It's not drafting wills and estate plans. Family law attorneys do adoptions. I've never done an adoption. I don't know if you've done one.
No.
So it is fairly narrow focused. But would you agree with me that it touches on every aspect of people's lives?
Absolutely, because there's so much that goes into moving through a family law case, things that are very personal, dealing with people's children, to things that are strictly financial, dealing with people's income and their finances.
Or their business.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is like an individual's child. Some people view their business like their child.
Absolutely, it's very important to them. It absolutely touches on a lot of things that you may not think of when you think about just a divorce or an issue with people's children.
So what drew you to practicing family law? Because there is kind of this ongoing joke among lawyers, oh, well, at least I'm not a divorce lawyer or family law attorney. What
Definitely.
drew you to the practice?
So it's not something that I ever intended to do when I went to law school. It sort of happened organically. I had a little bit of experience with it through clerkships that I had during law school, just briefly touched on it. And then my first job out of law school was at a small firm that did a few different practice areas, and sort of randomly they stuck me on the family law cases. And in doing that, I started to realize that I had a good personality for it, that I connected really well with the clients, and that I enjoyed the work. And that allowed me to kind of learn about some of the different firms in Chicago that practice family law and how they do it, and eventually made the jump to where we are at Schiller DuCanto Fleck.
And Lagback does not endorse this comment, but I would say, as a partner at Schiller DuCanto Fleck, that we are the best family law firm.
As someone who worked at a very small firm doing family law and learning about the other bigger firms, I knew that Schiller DuCanto Fleck was the best family law firm in Chicago.
Again, this is not an endorsement from Lagback, just as someone that happens to work there. So it's interesting that you say that you enjoy the client aspect. I do too. It is a very rewarding area of the law, in the sense that you are helping people navigate through, and studies have shown this to be true, the worst period of their lives. You literally lose control over your children during the pendency of the case, and your money. Two very important things to people. But that can also be taxing too on the lawyer, because it is a lot of client interfacing work. But it is rewarding because of that.
Absolutely.
Do you think being a queer lawyer has helped you as a divorce lawyer or family law attorney?
I think so. I think it gives a unique perspective, and it gives a perspective that I think helps you to be more open-minded to clients that you may have that are, that are different from you, or that may be abnormal from what you grew up around. I think it just helps to give a perspective of accepting and working with people who you may have nothing in common with. You may live a very different life from. So I think it's good in an industry that we're in that is so people-focused and so people-forward.
Yeah, we learn about every aspect of people's lives, and if a marriage or relationship has been going on for decades, there's a lot there, and it's important that our clients trust us and know that we're not going to judge them and have an open mind, so that we can properly represent them in court. Absolutely. And I think being LGBTQ, our community members tend to have open minds because of what they've gone through in the process of coming out as LGBTQ. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree.
So you moved to Chicago, you become a family law attorney. Is there any part of you that wishes you did something else with your law degree?
Yeah, I've thought about that here and there throughout the 5 years that I've been practicing. But at this point, where I'm finally getting to a point in my career where I'm a little bit settled, and I know that I'm going to be where I am, at least for the foreseeable future, no, I don't feel that way anymore. I think that what I have selected for myself fits my skill set, it fits my interests, and a lot of people tell you don't go to law school, don't be a lawyer. I had a lot of fears about I'm going to get 5-10 years into this world and hate it and wish I hadn't done it. And I feel the opposite of that at this point. I had a lot of reservations, and I'm very glad that I've been able to put myself in a place that I'm happy I'm doing what I'm doing.
What makes a good family law attorney, in your opinion?
I think that there's a piece of you that has to be exceptionally empathetic and be able to sit down and let people talk and listen to their problems, whether it's really relevant to what you're doing or not. There's got to be a piece of you that is willing to sit, listen, and let them talk and do their thing. But I think there also has to be a piece of you that knows how to compartmentalize that and to separate the things that, yes, they're feelings. Yes, you can validate your client's feelings, but you've got to be able to separate what you need to put to the side to accomplish the goal that you're accomplishing in the case. So I think it's twofold.
See through the emotion to what is important to the court.
Right.
You graduated law school when?
2020.
So and then graduated college when?
2017.
So your adult professional life has always been post the Supreme Court opinion, United States Supreme Court opinion, in Obergefell, which ruled that same-sex marriage is legal in the United States.
Right.
So you never really saw the before as a practitioner, only the after. Do you have many LGBTQ plus clients?
I wouldn't say many, but I've had some, and I feel like I've seen more and more coming to the firm, I feel like, but I haven't had personal experience with a huge number at this point.
So Obergefell, which made it legal to marry a same-sex partner, was handed down by the United States Supreme Court in 2015, okay? I always have said that it's going to take a while, because people assumed when I became a divorce lawyer, because I wasn't always a divorce lawyer, I was a prosecutor, that I would then have this a huge caseload of LGBTQ plus divorces. And that just hasn't been the case, because I think that it takes a while for people to accept that they can get married and then have children, which is happening more and more. People our age, people your age, or a lot younger than me, are now adopting or doing surrogacy.
Right.
And so that it takes a while for then all of that to happen, and then things to not go so well and need a family
Bit of a
law
ramping up
attorney.
period there.
Yes, and I agree. I see a lot. I see more cases come through the door than I had seen when I was starting out in family law 8 years ago. And I think that's just going to become more of the case as it becomes more accepted. And thank God we live in a very open city too. So let's get back to you. When you grew up in Alabama,
Yes, Montgomery, Alabama.
how was that growing up as an LGBTQ plus kid?
I think at the time, I think it was really great. I enjoyed it. I had a really positive experience growing up there. I think getting older, being more removed from it, I am now able to recognize some things that were going on around me that I didn't recognize at the time, things that would probably be offensive or difficult for me to stomach at the age and the phase in life that I'm in. But I think that while the South has its very checkered history and it has its reputation, I think there's a lot that I'm really grateful to have grown up there, and I appreciate so much about it. And I think that it's, growing up in a place like that does have so many people and things that don't align with how I believe and how I feel, I think has really been something that shaped me.
Has it helped you as a divorce lawyer?
I think so.
Because your clients come from all different backgrounds.
Exactly. And in living in the city of Chicago, I feel like we very frequently are around people that share a lot of the same beliefs as us. And most of my friends share similar beliefs to me. And then every now and then I'll get a client who has a very different set of beliefs than me. And I forget sometimes, I'm like, oh, this exists. This is
Right.
another member of my society, of our community. And so I think that it's not as shocking for me, having grown up around people that are very different from me, as it might be for others.
Okay. But you have no plans of moving back.
No, I don't. I like to visit, though.
Yeah. So you date another lawyer, am I right?
Yes,
Does
2 lawyers.
do 2 lawyers in one relationship work out?
I think 2 lawyers doing very different things makes it a lot easier than 2 lawyers that might be in really similar paths.
So no 2 divorce lawyers should date.
That sounds criminal to me. 2 litigators sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
a lot of conversation in the house. So we're in very different areas of law. He's not a litigator. I am.
He's in policy.
Policy, politics, not actually practicing at a law firm. So I think that's really helpful. That what we're doing, yes, we're both technically lawyers, but talking about our jobs together is basically like talking about 2 separate careers.
But he has the context to know that when you're working at 8 o'clock on a Friday or 8 a.m. on a Saturday, he understands.
Generally. I won't say always, but he tries.
Okay. Do you have any advice for young lawyers that are considering going to law school?
I think if it's something that you're genuinely interested in and it's something that you think is going to make you happy in the long run, that it's a great thing. My experience with law school was that it was the first time in my life being around a fully open, accepting community where something like being gay or being different in some other way was a non-discussion to have. It was just life. I feel like law school is a place where people that are adults that are over, they're not in college, they're not dealing with, juvenile issues like you would when you're younger in life. It's a bunch of adults, moving into the next phase of their life together. And I think it was one of the most accepting places that I've ever been in my life.
When you entered law
Entering
school.
law school, yeah.
And so that would apply to everyone, really.
I think so. I think that it was a place, for anyone, whether whatever it is about you that might be unique or diverse. I felt that being in law school and being in law school in Chicago was a place where there was somewhere for everybody, and anyone who was different, nobody cared. You didn't have to talk about it. You didn't have to come out about it. It was just adults living their lives and educating themselves.
If you didn't go to law school to become a divorce lawyer, what was your plan?
I didn't really get that far. My plan was always going to be grad school, I think, because I couldn't think of anything that's, I couldn't think of a job that I was like, I'm going to graduate from college and do this.
So you're one of those lawyers. You had no other idea of what to do, so you went to law school.
When I first started college, I was going to be a dentist, realized I didn't like science, and then I said, okay, law school it is.
Fair.
If I was going to take a year off, I thought about teaching English in Spain, but then I decided let's not take the break, just get straight through and go straight to law school.
Okay, good. So during every show, we ask the guests about a coming out story, about their coming out story. Do you have a coming out story?
I mean, I guess we all have one to some extent.
Yes,
yeah. It's not a specific moment. It's not a specific day or event that happened in my life. It was definitely something that evolved over a year or 2 years. The first thing that I can really remember as far as coming out was like being at lunch with my mom one day. And I don't really remember why or how the subject came up, but she was the first person that I came out to, just having lunch at a restaurant one day. And then from there, I think it moved into like my childhood best friends when we were home from college over the summer.
So how old were you when you had this lunch with your mom?
I think I would have been 20 probably.
Okay.
So I think I was finishing my junior year. I had just finished my sophomore or junior year of college. And then I spent a semester studying abroad in Spain, and then eventually, like some of the friends that I was there with, we started talking about it throughout the semester, and then I came back for my senior year of college, and then that was sort of throughout the senior year of college was, I guess, when it was more like fully coming out to like everyone that I knew.
Did Furman have a LGBTQ plus community?
A very small one, and not one that I was ever really a part of.
It's a small liberal arts college, isn't it?
Yes, it's like fewer than 3,000 students.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's very little. And it's very southern.
And you didn't experience any bigotry or anything like that in a small community like that?
No. I think there were people that were more comfortable with it and less comfortable with it, but coming out in a place that like is a very southern, generally conservative, very small environment, and a lot of students that come from very sheltered backgrounds, I think it was still a pretty positive experience.
That's great. That's good.
For the most part.
Again, you're young, and so here you're in college after the Supreme Court has come out and said that same-sex marriage is legal.
I think it came out that summer that my coming out journey started.
Really?
It was that summer, yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting to me to hear that it was such a positive experience for you, even in the South, at a small college, and that it really was a non-issue.
Yeah.
It's hard to have... Mostly. It's hard to have a pulse on the rest of the country when you live in Chicago, because it's being LGBTQ here in Chicago is really not so much of an issue anymore.
Right.
But I think that despite the fact that being gay is less of an issue around the country, our trans community members are still facing significant bigotry. I mean, it's just flagrant in the legislatures around the country. And I think it's important for us, gay men, especially cis white gay men, to protect them and do our best to fight with them so that doesn't happen. Other than advice for potential law students, if you could do anything other than practicing law, what would it be?
Well, I always said if I failed the bar exam, I was going to get a real estate license. That was my backup plan.
Why a real estate license?
I've always been interested in real estate. I feel like a lot of gay men are interested in real estate. But it was just something that I was some of the skills, the public speaking, the interacting with people that led me to want to go to law school. Some of those skills I think would be directly transferable. And it's something that interests me that would, if I had failed the bar exam, I was like, I can, study for the exam, get the real estate license, and like immediately jump into building this career. That was 5 years ago now, but I think about it and I was like, what would I do if I were to drop my career today and go do something else? I think the real estate market in Chicago is fascinating, so I think that would be a great career.
I would agree with you that every gay man has probably considered becoming a real estate agent.
Absolutely.
I've also considered it.
Always.
So obviously this is Lagback Show. How long have you been a member of Lagback and why did you decide to join?
Yeah, so I joined Lagback in 2017, right when I started law school. I don't even remember where, but I met a member of Lagback really early on when I just moved to Chicago. He told me about it, explained that it's a great organization, that it's a great way to start meeting people as I'm beginning my journey in the Chicago legal scene. I went to a meeting, met some really great people, ended up working with some of those people throughout law school in a few different jobs. And it's been a really great organization to be involved in and to help have contacts throughout the legal community.
Having gone to law school, practiced law now for 5 years, and being a family lawyer now for 5 years, is there anything you wish you knew before entering law school that would have helped you prepare to be a lawyer?
I think one of the most important things that I realized after law school and after working for a few years is that everybody's in the same boat. Somebody might be a little smarter than the next guy, but everyone's figuring it out. Everyone's just trying, to figure out how to do their job or how to get through school. In law school, for the first time in my life, I think I was genuinely intimidated by my peers and feeling like I wasn't doing enough or I wasn't doing the right things. And once I got through law school, I realized that nobody really knows more than anyone else day one or day two. Everyone's just trying to get through it, to get through the same material, to figure it out. And it's a waste of energy to spend time being intimidated by people that you think are doing more than you just because they might be doing something slightly different than you. And then I think that really is translated into my career too. It's very easy to be intimidated by someone that you work with or work under, somebody that you work against. And the older that I get, the more I realize everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's just figuring it out. And it's unique to everyone. You don't have to do the same thing that somebody else does to be equally as prepared.
You graduated in 2020. You graduated a couple months after COVID hit then?
We went remote for the last 3 months of my final semester of law school.
Oh, so you started your legal career in COVID?
Completely.
So did you take the bar exam?
My bar exam was pushed back from July to October because of COVID. They pushed it back twice to try and administer an in-person exam and then realized that was never going to happen in Illinois with how many people needed to take it. So they pushed it to October and did a remote bar exam.
So you took your bar exam remotely?
Yes, by myself in a hotel room.
Wow. So did you have to take it in a hotel room?
No, you just had to take it on a computer. I took it in a hotel room because I was in Alabama staying with my parents at that point of COVID. And I was like, I don't want to take it in my parents' house and my mom's going to be running the vacuum cleaner or somebody's going to be outside mowing the grass. I wanted, privacy, space, and kind of to get out of the room that I'd studied in for the past 4 months. So I took it in a hotel room just so I could be on my own, get through it. It was a great choice. Very glad I did.
It's crazy that that was 5 years ago, because it seems like it was yesterday.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, Reed, thank you for joining us today. It means a lot that you came here and shared your story and talked about family law. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.